Pro Football Hall of Famer Jim Brown has died. Brown's wife said in an Instagram post that he died peacefully in his home on Thursday night. He is known as one of the greatest football players of all time. He was also an actor and civil rights activist. James Brown has more on his legacy.
Brown takes the ball.
He was one of the greatest football players to step foot on the gridiron, but his talents transcended sports. Jim Brown was born in 1936 in segregated Georgia.
When Jimmy Brown breaks loose for his
He rose to fame as a football and lacrosse standout at Syracuse. ESPN recently called him the greatest college football player ever.
Number 32, Jimmy Brown.
Brown went on to play 9 seasons in the NFL for the Cleveland Browns. He led the league in rushing for 8 of those and was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1971.
And I retired from professional football.
At the top of his career, Brown quit the NFL at the age of 30 to pursue acting.
20 seconds.
He starred in dozens of films, including movies like The Dirty Dozen and Any Given Sunday, where he shared the screen with Al Pacino.
Never had him. How you gonna lose him?
Tonight, Brown also being remembered for his political activism during the civil rights movement and the decades that followed. In the 1980s, Brown founded the Amer I Can Foundation, which teaches life skills to at-risk youth. He faced his own share of legal issues, serving time in prison in 2002 for charges related to a domestic violence dispute.
That's the greatness in the building.
Still, his legacy means he was revered by this generation of superstar athletes. Jim Brown was 87 years old. He was indeed one of the greatest ever athletes in any sport. Chanel?
James Brown, thank you. Tyler Dragon joins me now with more on this. He is an NFL reporter at USA Today. Thanks so much for making time.
Thanks for having me on.
I want to start with asking you about Brown's legacy in the NFL. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, Jim Brown is not only just one of the best football players of all time, he's one of the best athletes in the history of sports. By the time he retired, he was the NFL's rushing champion, multiple-time MVP, an NFL champion with the Cleveland Browns, the Browns' only championship. And, he's just one of the best running backs of all time, if not the best. A lot of players, past and present, look up to him, watch his highlight films, watch the way he played the game. He was one of the most fiercest runners of the football in pro football history. His ability, not only his speed, but his power. People were afraid to tackle Jim Brown in his heyday. And then just his legacy off the field, as you alluded to in the segment, he was a social justice pioneer. He's a civil rights activist. So he's going to have an everlasting legacy, not only on the football field, but off the football field and just his overall impact.
Is there a more decorated player than Jim Brown in league history?
That's a good question. You can make the case that he's the most decorated player of all time in the NFL, on and off the field. You can go with, the Jerry Rices of the world, the Tom Bradys, the Joe Montanas, but Jim Brown is definitely up there, a Pro Football Hall of Famer. There's Pro Football Hall of Famers, and then there's Hall of Famers that stand out above the rest, and Jim Brown is definitely a Hall of Famer that stands out above the rest.
And I wonder if you can speak quickly, Tyler, about reaction that we're seeing online. What are people saying?
Yeah, a lot of people are just sharing their condolences to Jim Brown's family, his friends and loved ones. A lot of NFL organizations are posting messages, heartfelt messages on social media and on their team websites. So it's going to be felt around the NFL. I would not be surprised if the Cleveland Browns did something to memorialize Jim Brown this coming season, maybe a decal on their helmet or something of that sort. But he's definitely going to be missed. Truly an icon and an NFL legend.
Tyler Dragon, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me on. Have a great night.
You as well.